alien hunters, it's Miss Becky coming here talking to you. I've got a different type of class today. It's going to be shorter, fun, and a little bit guided by you. So here is so we're going to start out, we're going to talk about just a couple of things, and then instead of giving you a whole ton of videos, I'm just going to play a few short ones for you. I'm going to give you a design challenge, and then I am going to give you some more videos. If you want to watch and learn more, you can go ahead and do that on your own. So we're going to start out by watching a brief video on what if, this is from a movie, what if when aliens showed up, how are we going to communicate with them, right? Have you ever heard of the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind? It's a movie about aliens trying to communicate, and they do it by, some people are very sensitive, like in their head they're sensitive and can kind of feel things, and these people on Earth just start to know that something strange is going on, and a few people journey to this mountaintop because they feel something's going to happen, and so in doing that, they end up encountering aliens, and this alien spaceship communicates with them with music. Watch this little clip from Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Quavers, then pause. She sent us 4 quavers, a group of 5 quavers, a group of 4 semi-quavers. The only thing these phrases have in common are 5 signals.
I hope somebody's taking all this down. What are we saying to each other?
It seems they're trying to teach us a basic tonal vocabulary.
It's the first day of school, fellas.
Take everything from the lady. 5 Tolliver Adams, 031.
So we don't have to watch this whole clip. I just wanted you guys to see. In this clip, they're showing that these aliens are kind of trying to teach us a language. And luckily, there's some really smart people out there who can probably understand some of this type of thing if it happens. Because if we did find aliens, they're not going to speak English. They're not going to speak Chinese. They're not going to speak Russian or Spanish, most likely. Unless they've been listening to our communications, they might have taught themselves to speak, but most likely we're going to speak to them in something a little more universal, like music or math. So this is just one interesting way to see how we might try to communicate with them. Now the movie is kind of fun because the movie goes on to then show us what they think aliens look like. I just want to show you guys this clip for a second. I don't really need sound here. I'll turn that down. So this is the people in the movie. This is a pretty good movie. The movie starts out, if you decide to watch it, I put a link to the trailer. That's a commercial. In the description, look, now they're trying to talk with a sign language. But it's a pretty interesting movie. It starts out a little scary with a little boy being abducted, but the little boy's fine. And in the end, he comes back. So if you do decide to watch it, you don't have to get upset when that happens. Everything's going to be fine. The aliens basically kind of take people on a vacation to learn about them, and then they bring them back. So this alien could be called a gray. I mentioned that in the video last week. It's a very common look that people who say they've met aliens have said this is what they look like. So a lot of people, you can see the clothes these people's wearing. This movie's kind of old. It was made when I was real little. But a lot of people think this is what aliens might look like. All tall and skinny with big heads. And certainly that's what their spaceships could look like. Wouldn't that be, I mean, we talked about this a lot when we were in class together about, you know, what would it be like if we went out to the Think playground and all of a sudden a ship like this showed up overhead. It'd be pretty terrifying, but it's kind of cool. So now, there's one thing that I wanted to tell you guys about. This is the longest video that I'm going to play, and then after this it's just going to be all links for you to watch if you want to. But did you guys know that NASA, back again when I was a little kid, back 40 years ago, they sent out a spaceship called Voyager. And they sent it out, it was designed to go really, really far, like outside of our solar system, and to keep going. And it takes pictures and it sends back telemetry. That means like data and measurements, like it measures how hot and cold the space is and how much light it's finding and all kinds of stuff. And for 40 years, scientists have been getting information and data from this, and they expect it to continue to travel, but pretty soon it is going to get so far away that we won't have contact with it anymore. It's going to disappear. And there's this crazy movie called, well, you guys might have heard of Star Trek. Star Trek was a TV show, but they also put out a movie. And in the movie, the first movie that they did for Star Trek, they wondered what would happen if Voyager traveled so long and so far that it turned into an artificial intelligence and became alive. And that's pretty interesting. But the most interesting thing is that the real Voyager, NASA scientists put in it what is called the golden record. And the golden record was something they worked really hard to create. And it was a message to aliens. So watch this video and it's going to tell you a little bit about the golden record. It's 3 minutes long, okay? They're calling it NASA's gift to aliens.
On September 5th, 1977, NASA launched Voyager 1 from Cape Canaveral, Florida. Almost 4 decades later, that craft is over 12 billion miles from home. Voyager carries a golden record containing a greeting from the people of Earth to the alien life form that may someday find it. On the record is a collection of images and sounds, a short glimpse into the soul of our planet. But since aliens probably wouldn't know what to do with a phonographed record, NASA had to provide a set of instructions on the record cover. But what could they say? How do you begin to communicate with a life form that evolved entirely separately from us? Scientists at NASA had to invent a code that anyone living in the universe might be able to decipher. So to do this, they started with what is by far the most commonly found molecule in the universe: hydrogen. This diagram illustrates the transition between the two lowest states of hydrogen. Any spacefaring civilization will probably understand the properties of hydrogen enough to know that when this transition happens, radiation is released, with a definite wave period. In human terms, we say this period is about 0.7 nanoseconds. This wave period is used as the basic unit of measurement for the rest of the diagrams on the cover. These are the instructions on how to make the record work. Assuming aliens wouldn't have record players like we do, NASA included one on the craft, with the needle already in place. These markings are binary code that define the speed you'd need to turn the record to get it to play correctly. Translated, we get over 5.1 billion hydrogen transition wave periods, or about 3.6 seconds per rotation. At this speed, you would begin to hear greetings in 55 different languages.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
This would be followed by music and sounds from Earth, like a train in motion, crickets chirping, fire crackling, laughter, and a baby crying. This section explains how images can be pieced together from recorded signals. A replica of the first image on the recording is shown here, so the viewer can verify they decoded the signals correctly. In total, there are 116 images on the record. They show our solar system, our planet, and ourselves. Without much to erode it in space, the golden record is estimated to survive for 1 billion years, traveling aimlessly through the Milky Way. It's impossible to say whether Voyager or its twin, Voyager 2, will ever be found and retrieved by another life form. But, as Carl Sagan, who chaired the Golden Record Project, put it would be impolite not to say hello.
So what do you guys think of that? NASA actually sent something intentionally out into space to tell aliens that might find it who we are, what we look like, what our planet looks like, what our planet sounds like, and some information about where we're located. Do you think that that's a good idea? Do you see any problems with that? Well, have you ever heard of the TV show The Big Bang Theory? If you haven't watched it, it does have a little bit of adult stuff in it, so you'd have to ask your parents if it's okay, but my son Sebastian and I watch it a lot, and it's pretty funny. It's about these people who are what you might call nerds. They're super, super smart, and they do a lot of really funny and interesting stuff, but they're also just trying to live life. But I'm going to show you guys a clip. It's just half a minute long, and this is, in this one of the guys is an astrophysicist, a space scientist, and he is part of a project where they are going to send a probe out into space, and he wants to put a message on it for aliens to find. So the other guy, who's a physicist and super, super smart, named Sheldon, decides to create a recording of a message. And in this video, they are showing what it might be like if he had created that recording and they sent it out into space and an alien found it. It's pretty funny, and this is just a joke, but watch this for a second. There's the alien ship.
Planet Earth. Just turn left at Alpha Centauri. You can't miss it.
He says, that soft pink alien looks delicious. Another alien says, I could eat. So that was it. I thought that was funny. I mean, when you send messages out into space, who knows who's going to find them and what they're going to do with that information. What we hope is that some intelligent life form will find it and communicate with us. But what if they said that that golden record, they made it out of a material that, and there's nothing in space to corrode it, they made it out of gold, it could survive for billions of years. What might happen if in, say, 1,000,000 years, some alien species found it? And they have, let's say for a second that that alien species has developed tremendous ability to travel and they can reach Earth. What do you think they might find in 1,000,000 years? What might they even find in 10,000 years? If it takes them that long, the Earth isn't going to look anything like those pictures or those sounds that they picked up, right? In fact, it already doesn't look a lot like that. We've changed so much in just 40 years. So, pretty interesting, I think, to even just think about that. Just sit for a couple of minutes and close your eyes and imagine. If aliens showed up in 10,000 years, what might they see? Or in 1,000,000 years? And what would they think of us if they found this record? Would they think, oh my gosh, what a bunch of idiots sending this out into space? Or would they think, oh, our brothers, let's go find them, we all want to be pals? I wonder. So that was the last video that I was going to show you guys. Now I'm just going to show you, I'm not going to play them, I just want to show you a few videos that I picked out for you that I thought you might like to watch. This is a 3-minute video called How Humans Can Communicate with Aliens. Gives a few suggestions for how we might do that. It's kind of interesting. Then there's another video. This is a real interview on CNN. It's from 5 years ago. It's 4 minutes long, and it's got Anderson Cooper telling how Russians had heard a signal in space that led them to believe that it could have possibly come from aliens. So you might be interested in watching that one. Then this is one, 4 ways aliens might contact us and we wouldn't even recognize it. Kind of like that music thing from Close Encounters. Would we even recognize aliens trying to contact us? Have you guys ever heard of Morse code, where you flash light, like dots and dashes, and you use it to spell out words? Well, what if aliens from a distant planet, what if they're making stars twinkle in a way that is a code and we're not even noticing it? This video talks a little bit about that. And then, did you know that in the last year, our government has created a space force? Now, when I first heard this, I thought it was kind of stupid. It's going to be right up there. There's going to be Army, Navy, Marines, Space Force. I thought it was kind of stupid, but I have a friend who works at NASA. And the friend at NASA said that actually having a Space Force isn't that bad of an idea. And the reason is that right now the United States the Air Force. The United States Air Force, the one that, deals with airplanes and stuff, it's their job to protect space and to decide what projects in space are going to be funded. But most of the people in the Air Force are in the Air Force because they're pilots or they like to fly. So when the government gives money to the Air Force, all of the people there want to buy new jet planes and they want to train more pilots. They're not thinking about space stuff. So they don't get very much money and people and enthusiasm around the space part of the Air Force's projects. But space is a really huge thing. I mean, with satellites in space, not only do we communicate around the world, but there was a plan back when I was a kid that they called Star Wars. And it was a plan to put satellites into space that could shoot down any bombs or missiles that other countries sent to us. That sounds like a pretty good defense system, right? So you want a group that is heading up that is looking that high up into space, not just at airplanes. So by creating a Space Force, it's actually going to be a division of the United States Air Force, and it will get its own budget. So they will have their own money specifically to do space type of defense and space things. So in a lot of ways, that could be a really good idea. So what I'm showing you on the screen here, this is what some people are suggesting. This is probably going to be the logo for the new Space Force. But here's an interesting thing. This looks a lot like the logo from Star Trek. In fact, I meant to bring that up. Let me do a quick search here. United. In Star Trek, the big group is called the United Federation of Planets. Do you see this symbol over here on the right? And look, here is the symbol of Starfleet Command. Look at this. This is the symbol of Starfleet Command, which is a fictional thing in the Star Trek universe. Look at how similar it looks to the Space Force logo. I mean, come on. They obviously, this is copyright infringement. They took it straight from there. And some people aren't very happy about it. So I'm not sure if this logo is really going to stand and be used, because I think the Star Trek people might complain about it. But we'll see. I thought that was kind of interesting and fun. So if you want to learn more about Space Force, here's a cool video I found. Space Force, what would it do? It's 8 minutes long. I put a link to it in the description in case you want to watch that. And then I gave you a few more videos that you might want to watch, including trailers to a few alien movies you might enjoy: Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T., Contact, and The Last Starfighter. So if you want to watch those trailers with your parents, if they look good to you, then ask your parents if you can watch those movies. They're all pretty good. And I think that you'll enjoy them. So I want to leave you now with one last thing. I mentioned that NASA created that message, the golden record that went out on Voyager, and they sent it off into space. And that also the Space Force has been creating this logo that is super similar to the Star Trek logo and might end up getting canned because of copyright issues. So here is your mission, should you choose to accept it. Create either your own message that you would send to aliens. What would you send out to aliens if you were in charge of sending a space probe out into deep space? Would you send pictures? Would you send videos? What would you send? So create that message, or create a new logo for the U.S. Space Force and let us all see what that would look like. You can also draw me any other thing that you'd like to draw about space. What do you think aliens look like? A spaceship? Anything that you want. Any of the drawings that you create, have your parents send them to me, either text them to me or email them to me, and I will put them in my next video. So, which reminds me, I forgot to show you guys, Max sent me a spaceship picture. I think it was, Max drew a spaceship, and I meant to show that to you guys. Look at this. I think I have to rotate it this way. There we go. Here are some spaceships that Max created. Looks like this one's got some kind of creature in the cargo hold. That's kind of cool. And something hanging down here. Knowing Max, I'm thinking that might be some kind of missile? I'm not sure. But I thought these were some pretty cool looking spacecrafts. They look a little bit like our space shuttle, or a little bit like a jet. Very cool. I like it, Max. So you guys keep your drawings coming. Send me some more interesting stuff. If you want to, create a new Space Force logo, create a message to send out into space. And if you want to learn a little bit more, check out some of the videos that I put in the link. And that's it. That's class for today. You guys have a great day. Oh, and remember, I sent out a message to your parents a few days ago that the International Space Station was flying overhead. We went out and watched it. It's very cool. And I put a link in the email to where you can get text messages or emails telling you when the space station's going overhead. It's a really fun thing to look at. It's neat to know that you can actually see with your eye something that is up in space. So check that out. It's called Spot the Station. It's a NASA website, and it's really cool. And the only thing they will send you is messages about the space station being overhead. They don't send anything else. So ask your parents if you can sign up for that and then go check out the space station. The next time that I see that the space station is coming overhead, I'll send out a message again. But you should sign up for your own alerts. So that's it. You guys have a fantastic day and a great week. This was week 11. We have 2 classes left, and this was week 10, sorry. We have 2 classes left, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.